we're gonna go live, guys. Let's do this. Sorry about getting to you late. We had Dario
No
Nardi
worries.
on
Well, it
earlier.
worked out well because I've been having tech crashes all morning.
Okay.
So no worries.
Yeah. We had Dario Nardi on. He's the author of Neuroscience of Personality, and
Hmm.
he can really get into the progression of things. So he's
Hmm.
very thorough with his explanations. So it was an awesome interview. But
That's
what's your name?
it's Megan.
Megan. Okay, Megan. Okay, Megan. Where are you from?
I'm from Columbus, but my family lives all over in a lot of different countries. But I grew up in Columbus, Georgia.
Columbus, Georgia. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna ask you questions, and you just answer whatever you feel is needed. You don't have to go in anything that's too detailed if you don't want to. You don't have to tell us anything about past traumas or anything like that. Just what you want to display. Okay, it's all up to you. This is your show, so feel empowered. This is your interview. It's all about you. Okay, so we don't want you to feel as though we're pressing you or anything like that. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's just start off with something easy. If you had 3 wishes, what would you wish for?
Oh, that's so good. Of course, I'd want to do unlimited wishes, but if I can't do that, I think I would just want happiness for everyone in the world, just for people to be able to experience joy. Um, I would wish to know what happens after death because I think that would be really interesting and it would impact what happens in this life. And then I don't know about the third one because I feel like that kind of encompasses everything. Um, I think I would just continue wishing for good people to be in my life. I mean, that's already a reality, but just a continuance of that.
Okay. Okay. What's something you're currently watching on Netflix or TV, and what got you into it?
I just finished Our Beloved Summer, which is like a K drama. It was my first one ever watching. But I got into it through a music group called BTS that I like just discovered. So that's how I got into it. But I'm not really currently watching anything. I kind of just watch whatever comes up on my home screen that looks good. But I
Hmm.
haven't really found my next show yet.
Hmm. So, when you go about to learn something new, how do you go about doing that?
Um, I think learning from people that I trust. So usually it's something where I can join a club or talk to someone who's really experienced in it, but I try to go to the experts.
Hmm.
So that way I can know I'm getting the best possible information.
Okay. Okay. If I was to, are you in school?
I am. I'm in grad school right now.
Okay. What are you studying?
I am getting my master's of divinity, which is kind of just a general degree that you get when you're studying to be a pastor. So
Oh,
that's my long term goal. I'm working as a children's director, but I'm kind of studying that so I can do anything in the ministry field.
okay. And what got you into wanting to be a pastor?
So it was really not my initial wish because ministry can be really hard and you deal with a lot of different personalities. Originally, I wanted to go into performing arts, but it really just came down to having morals that conflicted with being able to really go into acting as much as I wanted to because I was being offered roles that I knew that long term I couldn't really do and again not compromise. And so I got into ministry because I realized I just love preaching and I love the idea of being able to stand in front of people and talk about things that really matter. And I just began to watch as I started out in that how people were so impacted by the things that I was saying and people telling me this made me cry, this changed my life, this helped me out in some way, and realizing the kind of impact that that could have. And so that's ultimately what got me into it, and I just loved it the more that I've gotten into it.
Mm-hmm. Well, how'd you start about that? How did like? I mean, like, you just said like you got into it after acting, but like, what
Mhm.
was like a pivotal like starting point? Like, how did you like start it?
So when I was in high school, my church at the time offered a class on ministry, and so I got to talk to people in my profession. And then I got offered my first ministry job through work study programs in undergrad. And so I worked in campus ministry, and then I found out about an internship for college-age students or young adults. And they teach you the ropes of whatever area you're in the church, and that was through my home church at the time. So I did 2 internships through that, and then eventually I was offered a job at my current church doing children's director work.
Okay. What do you think about you, really, what you think about yourself that is highlighted in ministry? Like,
I think the ability to just sit with others and their pain. I mean, you deal with people all day long that are just struggling with various things and going through a hard time in life, and being able to just sit with people and love people is really important to me. And I think the ability to express myself, because I'm really into creative arts, and I find that there's a lot of opportunity to do that in ministry.
Okay. If I was to fast forward your life to your 100, what would be something that you would feel you didn't get to do?
That's a good question. I don't feel like there's a lot that I've missed out on in life so far. I mean, maybe down the line. So I'm not sure. I think I would probably just look back and miss the times when I was too caught up in maybe what other people thought. And so I was kind of living out of a state of stress. I think I would probably want to travel more too, because I feel like work can kind of keep me very stationary. But other than that, I'm not really sure. I would hope I wouldn't have too many things I missed out on.
Okay. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I see myself overseas because I have a call to go to South Korea, and I just recently got that call. And so I'm working on learning ESL right now and how to teach that and getting my certification in that. So I might do that, but I don't know that I'll want to do that for the rest of my life. I think definitely overseas. I want to be married eventually and have kids, but I'm not really at that stage in my life yet. So I'm still kind of figuring that out, but that's really what I look at long term, and I'm getting ordained soon, so I hope to have my ordination by then.
Okay, wow. Let's see. How was your childhood?
It was actually really great. I just look back at it, and it was just so picturesque. I have amazing parents and an amazing brother and great friends that are still in my life today. So I had a really good experience growing up. I got to do a lot of things from like different camps and things like that. And I really don't think anything was too sad about it. I feel like I lived a very carefree life, and I'm really grateful for that.
You got something, Shelly?
I was just going to ask her if she ever questions her own morals, or if she ever feels.
Yeah. Well, all the time, because I think if you don't question what you believe, then you're just stepping into nothing. You just don't really know if you never look at things from a different perspective. So I'm constantly reevaluating the way that I think about things and trying to learn from other perspectives. But I also think it's important to try to find that confirmation and not just to sit in the I don't know, because it does, again, impact the way that you live when you think about your morals and your values and things like that. And so I try to really look at things from other perspectives and get to the truth.
So your self-worth, sorry, I was thinking the word. Do you ever question your self-worth, I guess?
Yeah, for sure. I think I constantly have this fear of, am I good enough? Not good as in, do I have value, but good as in, am I making enough of an impact in the world? Am I doing the right thing? Am I living in a way that isn't corrupt or isn't messed up and I'm going to regret later down the line? So I constantly worry that I've messed up too much, or I'll lose people's love. So for sure. But I also have periods to being confident too.
Okay. What drew you to MBTI?
That's a good question. I don't remember where I actually started with MTBI. I know I took it a long time ago, probably for school or just coming across it. But the more that I got into personality types, the more I loved it. I think I probably didn't start seriously studying it until maybe college, because I was around a lot of people who were into like Enneagram and MTBI. So I'd say that's when I started seriously diving into it. And my church internship as well, that was a big part of it, was learning what are our personality types, what are other people's, and how can we all get along.
Yeah, well, we really care about how everybody can get along.
For sure. Well, I think it's important. I mean, as long as you're not compromising your values, I don't really understand why people enjoy conflict. I have friends that tell me they love conflict, and I just don't get that.
Mm-hmm.
When you learn something new, how do you go about it?
I would say really just trying to learn from the best of the best as much as I can, because a lot of things it's easy to kind of go to the wrong sources and learn something incorrectly. So I try to make sure that I'm going to a reputable source that's teaching me. It could look like taking classes on it or joining groups, but I tend to try to learn from reputable people and to learn in community as best as I can.
Okay. If you could be born in any time period, what time period would you want to be born in? It could be future, past. Right now is okay if you want to, and give me the why.
I've thought about that a lot, but I guess I just think about the fact that if I was born in like 1980s, my parents would still be growing up, for example. So I want to make sure I could have all the same people. But if I could have all the same people and be born in any time period, I still think I would choose the time period I was born. Maybe I'd be born a couple years earlier in like the late 90s, but I kind of like modern things better. So I think I'd want to still be able to grow up in the same time that I did.
What do you think the biggest problem with people in the world is?
I think people are just really unkind sometimes to others, and they just kind of go out of their way to mistreat other people. I think if people had more compassion, and also if people relaxed a little bit more. Maybe I'm just really type B, so I do appreciate people that are more structured than I am, because we need that in the world. But sometimes I find that people are just very stressed out all the time and constantly, again, mistreating other people. And I think if you just looked on the bright side of life, and if we looked for ways to serve people, and if we just tried to be agreeable, that the world would be a better place. I think selfishness too, trying not to only think about ourselves, but how can we bless other people?
Okay. Let's see. What do you think is one thing that you do that Okay, say it. Shelly, can you say it for me?
Yes, sabotage.
Yeah, there we go. I don't know why it's tongue twisting me up. What's one of the things that you think does that to you? Self-sabotage.
Definitely my own legalism. I have really high standards for myself, not really for other people, just for myself. And I constantly think I made this one mistake. Instead of thinking, how can I learn from it and not repeat that mistake, I constantly think, okay, I'm going to keep beating myself up over this and comparing myself to other people and talking about how people can't forgive me for this. This is unpardonable. Kind of going overboard with even small mistakes. So definitely my own legalism.
Okay. Do you have a lot of friends?
I do. I have the most amazing community around me, and I always have. Sometimes I feel like it's hard for me to be a very personal friend, just because I have so many relationships in my life right now that it can be hard to make time to respond to everyone. But I also feel like I do the best that I can, and I do have a lot of really close friendships as well. but most of my time is spent with people, and I have a lot of people from past seasons of my life that still keep in touch too. But I would say my friends are some of the most meaningful people in my life, and I'm really grateful for that.
So how do you meet new people?
I think just through life. I mean, you can kind of meet new people everywhere. Some of it is that I've had friends for a long time, and then they introduce me to their friends and we become friends. Sometimes it's through church groups. Sometimes people just reach out to me and say, hey, do you want to come to this party? And I show up and find a whole new community. I have a lot of community groups too. So all of those things kind of help me meet new people. But I find that even if I'm not really looking to add to my friend group, it just kind of happens.
Okay. What is something about people you don't like?
Like what makes me not like somebody? I think when people are just mean to others, like if they're always tearing people down, they're always angry, that can be a massive turnoff to me. I wouldn't say I necessarily don't like them because I try to find the good in everybody, but I definitely avoid them because I think if somebody's just always in a bad mood, it's kind of hard to be around people that aren't very upbeat and welcoming and friendly.
Shelly, you got anything you want to ask?
I'm gonna steal one of your questions. What's a skill you think everyone should know?
That's a good question. I think interpersonal skills are definitely the most important thing because you can't get along in society if you don't know how to interact with other people. So that could be managing conflict. It could be just in general how to uplift other people. But I think interpersonal skills are really vital to getting along.
What is 3 things your friends will say about you?
They would definitely say kind, wise, and then maybe a little bit carefree. I'm borderline saying careless, but probably carefree.
Okay. Shelly, are you done here? How you feel?
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to go ahead and walk her through, and then I'll walk her through what I got.
Okay. So I got progress. You walk us through the steps, how you go about things, rather than going right to the end and responding. You do talk a lot, you're friendly, but you tend to be answering the questions that he asks you without giving or starting additional threads of conversation. I'll let Mercer.
Okay.
I don't know if he agrees with any of
Yeah,
that.
I agree with that. You want me to finish? You want me to finish up?
You're direct to. I guess everything you say is basically with intent, and you're easy to understand and follow in conversation. And seem to be affiliative. You are worried about what other people in the group think, and you put a lot of, I guess, I can't think of the word.
You're good. You're good.
Sorry.
You're good. I got it, Shelly. I got it.
Turn on making sure that everybody's happy and that you don't like fighting and just like to keep the peace in a group rather than do your own thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and finish it up. So what I noticed and what me and Shelly, because we talk to each other, each other about what we're seeing. So what I noticed very on that you were direct. You kind of say what you mean what you say. It's not in a very like brash way, but it's easy to follow you. So that eliminates 8 other types that you can't be. You can't be an informative type. You talked about the happiness for everyone in the world. You want to keep having good people in your life. You want everyone to get along. You don't understand why some people like conflict. So that's in the realm of affiliative, which means you care about doing what's right. And that's also FE. So that's TIFE as well. So that knocks you down from direct, TIFE and affiliative. Also, you're an SENI user. You care about making an impact in the world. You also talk about what other people are doing whenever you reference a story. You don't have a really good memory. You talked about that earlier. Well, you said something about something. You're like, I can't really remember. When I asked you about how did you get into MBTI, you didn't quite remember exactly. That's pretty common with SE users. So with you being direct, SENI, TIFE, and affiliative, that limits you down to two types, ENFJ or INFJ. And what we noticed was I even did a little test on you. I didn't say nothing for a while, and just to see how you would act or see how you would move, and you just sat there. And extroverts don't like they don't like when things just stop like that. So they'll initiate or they'll change something to make sure everything, but you were just cool with it. You were just like just sitting there responding. So that makes you an INFJ.
Interesting.
Huh?
So I get like in between ENFJ and ESFJ, but I was thinking I was an ESFJ out of those two, the more that I've read about it. But I can look into it.
Mm-hmm. So the difference between ESFJ and what'd you say? And ENFJ?
And yeah, ENFJ.
So the difference between ESFJ and ENFJ, ESFJs are informative, right? So informative means like your words would not be clear. You'll be beating around the bush. You'll be giving extra context when you're talking, right? You're not doing that. Mm-hmm. So, and I mean, we've been talking for what, 20 minutes or 20-ish minutes, and you're not doing that. So you can't be ESFJ. So by that would be eliminated. Plus, you're not an SINE user. You're talking about making an impact on people. That's an SE thing. And you're also talking about what other people are doing. You constantly reference what other people are doing. So that's also SE, and I as well. So based off that, you can't be ESFJ.
Gotcha.
Unfortunately.
Well, I'll have to look more into that. I hadn't thought about INFJ before. Sometimes I type as ESFP, but that's definitely not me.
Yeah. You are a TI user. You always talked about like what you like personally thought. You weren't referencing outside sources, and that's a TE thing, is outside sources. You weren't doing that. You were talking about from your own internal logical framework. Everything was coming from there. So that's a TIFE thing. So it couldn't be ESFP. And ENFJ versus INFJ. ENFJs are initiating. So when I gave you that awkward silence, you would have said something. You would have jumped out there and you would have changed it, or you would have did something. You didn't really do that, and you just sat there just like a almost like a totem for, I don't even want to say, like a couple seconds there, which made me feel pretty awkward. So I had to say something.
Oh, sorry.
No, I mean I'm extroverted,
I thought
so
you were just about to ask a question.
I'm extroverted, so I kind of feel like the need to say something, when the awkward silence hits. And your progression versus outcome. ENFJs look at the end product and they talk about it. Also, like if ENFJs have a very fast framework to answer things, they have they're very left brain, so things come out a lot faster. Like they'll come out like a lot faster. Like ENTJs and ENFJs, they have the shortest route for information to travel, so they can like spit things out very fast. And when you talked, that wasn't really happening. So ENFJ would be eliminated as well, and the only choice would be INFJ. So that's unique. I mean, I think you're the first. When I first saw you on here, I thought you were ESFJ. I swear to God, I thought you were ESFJ. But when you started talking, I was like, oh shit, oh shit, oh man. I'm like, oh man, this is surprising. You got any questions?
I don't think so, but thank you. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, that is amazing.
I think I read about Effie, parent or hero, in that ENFJ types feeling like the need to have people in their life and make, social connections, or it can make their life feel meaningless. So, I mean, that might be part of the reason why you go out and you network and like interacting with people and.
Actually, I do have a question.
Okay.
So I know that kind of branches into like shyness versus like extroversion, I feel like. So like sometimes I'll definitely be the initiator and break the silence, but other times if I feel very like shy, I won't. So how do you kind of take those two things into account, distinguishing between being shy and being introverted?
Well, introverts just primarily would rather respond to a situation than initiate. So how that manifests in a lot of things is they will like initiate, or they'll like change the topic or anything like that, or like they feel comfortable like going up to random people, like walking down the street or whatnot. They feel very comfortable like doing that. Like I will literally talk to random people on the side of the street, kind of like vagabonds or bums or whatever. And I'll talk to them, and I have no problem doing that. As in, like a responding person probably wouldn't do that. They would rather people come up to them. And another thing you talked about was FI critic. You have a high standard for yourself. So that sounds like FI critic coming out in you. INFJs have FI critic. Okay, so and it shows why you have such a high moral standard for yourself, but not other people. That was another sign of FI critic there, not FI opposing personality. So feel pretty good that you're an INFJ. It's pretty cool.
Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
I said it's pretty cool that you're an INFJ. I mean, I wasn't expecting that. Very rare personality.
I never tested that, so I'll have to go back and look at it.
Yeah, and another thing
but
is,
I also have never thought.
There you go. Another thing, you kind of knew your future very well. ISFJs, like me and Dario Nardi just talked about it, they don't even think about that. It's their trickster function. So that's the blind spot. Is the blind spot for ESFJ. Just complete blind spot. Like they're completely unaware of their future, but you kind of had a map for yourself already. When I asked you about 10 years, like where will you be in 10 years, you answered that pretty confidently. So, yeah.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Well, thank you guys so much for all your help. It's really helpful.
No problem. And let us know what you, you feel free to go do some research and let us know.
Yeah, I definitely will. I haven't read that much about INFJ, but I'll look into it.
Okay. All righty. You have a great day. It was a pleasure to meet you, Megan.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Gotcha.